ABC News Now. Good to know.
We're going to look at bullying in the workplace. How do you know if your coworkers have crossed an official line, or if you might have done so yourself? ABC's Deborah Roberts has been looking into it. Deborah.
Diane, it's an interesting subject, and it happens more often than you think. You and I both know you can't always get along with everybody in the workplace, and sometimes a clash of coworker personalities, particularly amongst women, can make for a toxic office. It's a situation that can be costly, both emotionally and financially, for all parties involved. No one dares stand up to Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada. She's a hotshot magazine exec who thrives on bullying her employees.
I don't understand why it's so difficult to confirm an appointment.
I know, I'm so sorry, Miranda. I actually did confirm last night.
Details of your incompetence do not interest me.
It may be comical on the screen, but Joan Fry, who says she endured nearly 2 years of real-life bullying at the hands of her female boss, says it's no laughing matter. Just 4 months into her job, Joan knew there was trouble.
She had me come into her office for my 90-day review, and she started, "We don't click. What are we going to do? What are you going to do about it? Not what we were going to do, but what are you going to do about it?"
Her life was soon miserable. Joan says her boss undermined her in front of employees, isolated her from senior management, gave her impossible deadlines, and humiliated her. Every day, Joan dreaded going to work.
One day she would be nice. The next day she would attack. Well, she would glare at me. She would make noises like that sort of thing. If I was talking to somebody, she would walk between us and turn her back on me.
After complaining to Human Resources and senior management, Joan was transferred to another department. But after 6 months in the new position, she says the problems with her prior boss led to a mental breakdown, forcing her to take a medical leave of absence. Joan filed a lawsuit against the company. 4 years later, after exhausting her life savings, the case was dismissed. But the court did describe her old boss as an equal opportunity oppressor, calling her management style abrasive and declaring that the difficult relationship contributed to disabling problems for Joan. Many women are afraid to confront bullying bosses, says Dr. Gary Namey, a psychologist and founder of the Workplace Bullying Institute. He says they often suffer in silence.
You should not have to risk clinical depression, debilitating anxiety, or, and as 30% of women experience, post-traumatic stress disorder.
According to a recent study, an estimated 54 million people say they've been bullied at work, and more than 70% of the time, it's women bullying other women. And many never think twice about it. The Growth Leadership Center in California counsels women who had no idea that their tough office demeanor amounted to aggression.
I actually made someone cry. But I kind of went over the edge. And as I left the door, I closed the door and I thought, was that me in there?
Yeah. Well, I knew I was a bully, but I thought I was justified. It's the perfection combined with the urgency or sense of urgency that kind of is a lethal combination.
Yeah.
Why can't they move faster?
Yeah. How come they didn't figure out that on their own?
Yeah.
It's like,
or the
it's
tone.
really obvious.
Or the tone you give them, they misread your tone.
What have you learned? I think, you never say, that is stupid. You pause and you think and you say something like, well, that is a very interesting idea. Let's talk about it further.
These women now recognize how their negative behavior affects others and are trying to make changes in their management style. But those who've been bullied, like Joan Fry, say the debilitating effects of a hostile work environment may last forever.
As it was, it caused damage to my family. It caused damage to my reputation. It caused damage to us significantly financially. I feel like it was probably the worst thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life.
7 years later, Joan still hasn't gone back to work, which leads us to some tips from the experts. If you think you're being bullied at work, Diane, the experts say the first thing you need to do is to try to get some help. Don't let it affect you and stress you out. But most important, they say you should go to senior management. Don't take it personally, which women often do. Make your company realize that this is affecting the bottom line. And then when you talk about the bottom line, they want to get involved, and this is a way to deal with it so that it doesn't just become a personal battle.
Yes, assume there are solutions, practical things that can be done that can help you rather than just going home like that.
Right, right. And with women, too, it becomes very complicated because women are often socialized not to confront, not to fight back. And that's why sometimes you have that dynamic between the women and the other women who are the bosses who've learned to be tough.
Right.
And it's
well,
aggressive.
this is fascinating. And if you want tips on it, or if you want to write in and tell about your experience in the workplace, do write, abcnews.com, because we'll be covering more of this in the months ahead.